Hi, everybody. How is it going? And today, I thought I would come back after what has it been, like 3 weeks, to talk about something that actually happened in real life. uh, so, I'm reading this from Comic Book Now, even though I don't even need to read this because I've been talking about this for months. Mortal Kombat Injustice Studio reportedly working on a new Marvel game. Okay. So I'm not even going to read any more of that article because for the people who have been watching my channel and following me on Twitter, go follow me on Twitter, Tower Games, same username. Anyone who's been watching knows that I think Marvel is like definitely going to be their next game. Now, whether it's Marvel standalone, which I gotta be honest, I thought I would be okay with that. Like, I thought I would be hype about it, but really, I'm not a huge Marvel guy. I really don't care, like, super a lot about Marvel. I think it's good and I think it's entertaining, and some of the characters I think are really cool, like Spider-Man, Iron Man, like the Hulk. I think some of those characters are really cool, but I'm just not a big Marvel guy, really. So, if they do make a Marvel game, yeah, sure, I'll be excited. They'll probably put Thanos in the game, and playing as Thanos in like a Netherrealm fighting game, that would be kind of cool. Playing as like Spider-Man, the Hulk, Captain America. I mean, that's cool. And some of the villains would be really interesting too. But I'm just not a huge Marvel guy. You know what I mean? And yeah. Recently, and you guys might remember, recently I said maybe NetherRealm will make a Star Wars game. And I think that's a lot less likely now, given this report. I think it's true. I really do think it's true that I think Marvel is related. But whether it's Marvel alone or it's Marvel versus DC. So I actually want to talk about one thing. So for the Star Wars thing, I brought it up, and let me just say, yeah, so I did say that Star Wars looks like it could be very likely for a fighting game, but now I don't know. Maybe it would be more likely that they make a mobile game, like they did with Immortals, where they made just a mobile fighting game, and I think that could be really interesting. And I think maybe even, I think there's a strong possibility that that could happen. A NetherRealm mobile, like exclusive fighting game, maybe based on Star Wars. I do think I think a Star Wars fighting game from some studio. I think that's bound to happen. Anyway, but let's get back to Marvel. So there's a couple ways I can tackle this situation. Of course, Marvel is owned by Disney, and of course negotiations would very likely happen with Disney when it comes to that type of thing. So Warner Brothers would need to talk to Disney. And it's not like something like this has never happened before. Like in terms of Marvel versus DC, if you guys remember that movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit, for example, that was a Disney film, and they actually got the Warner Brothers Looney Tunes and I guess some other Warner Brothers cartoon characters to appear in their Disney film. It was extremely expensive for Disney. But it's not like this has never happened before. That was an iconic, really good movie. That was the film where Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse were in the same scene. It was the same. It was the same movie where Daffy Duck and Donald Duck were both playing the piano on the stage at the same time and talking to each other. So it's not like Disney and Warner Brothers have never ever worked together on like a crossover ever. So it's not like this could never happen, but a little unlikely, I think. But so here's how I see it. I see two perspectives. Disney approaches Warner Brothers and says, "Hey, Capcom really fucked up Marvel versus Capcom, so screw them," right? And which is apparently, I guess, what happened. And yeah, apparently Disney wasn't too happy with that game, and I guess we're not getting another one. Even though I've never played any of them, but I guess we're not getting another one. And so Disney, Warner Bros. For NetherRealm Studios, I mean, they're making some of the best fighting games that there are in recent memory. I've enjoyed like every single game they've made in the past like 10 years. Mortal Kombat 9, Injustice 1, obviously I love Injustice 1. MKX was cool. I kind of missed out on that game because I was in college and I was in college and I was busy that summer, and I just really didn't get around to playing that game at all. Injustice 2, though, I actually had plenty of time to play, so I loved that game. And Mortal Kombat 11, of course, I had plenty of time to play that game, and I played that game a lot. I've put over like 400 hours into that game. A lot of fun. So if Disney, were to decide, hey, we're going to approach NetherRealm for a Marvel game, because Injustice 1 and Injustice 2 have done super, super well, and they're well-liked and enjoyable. Of course, there are some things they could make better in the next game, but for what they are, they're very good comic book fighting games. And Disney's thinking Capcom isn't doing it for us, and we need to go find someone else, and I think NetherRealm is really the clear choice. So from that perspective, makes sense. Now here's the other side of things. The other side of things is, would Warner Bros. Would they really not do anything with the DC characters for another 2 years? Okay, to me, I really don't find this likely. Unless they put out 2 games at the same time, unless they do Marvel and then they do Injustice 3 very shortly after. But yeah, the thought of not getting another Injustice for 4 more years, I wouldn't really like that much. So yeah, I wouldn't be super into that. So, and I don't think Warner Bros. Really would be either. Really, it was 2017 when that game came out, and that was kind of a while ago now, right? That was kind of a long time ago. So, and even the reveal, that was even longer ago. 2016. That was kind of a long time ago, honestly. And of course, MK11's DLC was much more spread out than it really should have been. So that's why we had to wait so long. So I really don't know which one's more likely, Marvel or Marvel versus DC. You have to realize it's Disney, of course, definitely does not want Marvel versus DC. They probably would not prefer that. But then at the same time, I have to think, do you think Warner Bros. Really wants to make a Marvel game? Do you think they really want to make a Marvel game? Because I just don't think they would. I personally feel they would go, hey, it's either Marvel versus DC or nothing. And really, and maybe Disney's okay with that. Maybe Disney is oh, okay, so they're only going to do it if it's Marvel versus DC. And maybe Disney's okay with that. If that's the only option, then maybe Disney would be okay with it, because it would be something huge and relevant that Marvel is a part of. And of course, that's the big name of the game. Is, hey, and it also has to be good. It can't suck either. And NetherRealm's games, they haven't released a bad game. NetherRealm Midway, they haven't released a game people think is bad in a long time. The last game that was bad was maybe MK versus DC Universe. I guess people think that's a bad game, but that was like 2008. That was a long time ago. It was a long time ago. Actually, it's really weird that 2008 was that long ago. I remember 2008 being that long ago is scary. Because I just remember that's a year in my life that I remember really well. A lot of my favorite movies ever came out that year, and the fact that was 2008 was so long ago, that's like scary. That's like really scary. But anyway, yeah, I guess I'm gonna wrap this up. I already said that I don't think Injustice 3 is the next game. Very quickly, I've said this a million times, but I'll say it again. At DC Fandom, they had like a second day of DC Fandom, and it was like a month later, and they had a panel with Ed Boon about Injustice, and he made a comment that was like, "Oh, we're happy people want to see more Injustice," and it just wasn't the type of comment you make about your next exciting game. And also, the hill that I'm going to die on arguing for is just why Injustice 3, why would that not get revealed at DC Fandom last year? Like, for what actual reason would that not get announced? Like actually. Because they revealed Rocksteady's Suicide Squad, which is a 2022 game, and that is the same year that whatever this game is will maybe release. So the way I see it is, if they're okay revealing Suicide Squad game like 2 years before it comes out, why can't you do the same for Injustice 3? I mean, like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe for some reason they didn't want to announce something so far off. I guess. Right? But I could make the same argument for Suicide Squad. That game is so like far away from being released. They may as well not announce it because it's 2 years away. It was 2 years away from when it was announced. But yeah, and I could make the same argument about Injustice 3. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the next game is Injustice 3, and maybe for some reason they didn't want to announce it at Fandom for whatever reason. By the way, as of filming this, they've actually announced the next DC Fandom today, and it's in October. I actually want to touch on this. October. That is a weird month for announcements. That is a super weird month for announcements. Because here's the thing. Like, are they announcing the next Netherrealm game at that event? Because October, that is like, there. I don't know about that. And so here's what I want to say about that. I feel like here's what I feel like. I feel like DC will have a presence in this next fighting game, right? I really think it's going to be Marvel versus DC, honestly. Unless the plan is to make a Marvel game and then make Marvel versus DC. But how many years away is that? I mean, how many years away is that? They would have to make a Marvel game, and then they would probably make Injustice 3, and then they would make another Mortal Kombat, and then they would make... I mean, how many years is that? Is that like 8 years, 10 years from now? I'm going to be almost 40 years old. I'll be like 40 years old when that happens. I will be so old, I won't even care. I'll probably own like some giant business by then. You know, I'll probably be like a millionaire owning my own business. I'm like, oh yeah, Marvel versus DC. I used to talk about that game on my YouTube channel 13 years ago. You know? Like, I don't want to wait that flippin' long. Like, all I'm saying is Marvel vs. DC has to be soon, or it's not going to happen for a while. Because when they're gonna make a Marvel. If they make a Marvel game, then they're gonna make Injustice 3, and then they gotta make another Mortal Kombat. And how many years is that? That's 6 years. And then after that, they make Marvel vs. DC, and that's like 8 years. That's like 8 years. That's too long. That is too long. I don't want to wait that long. Like, they can't keep the Mortal Kombat people waiting forever. But if they make a Marvel game, then they're making the DC people wait forever. So then they got to do Marvel for 2 years. Then they got to do Injustice 3 for 2 years. And then the Mortal Kombat people finally get another game. And then after that is when you finally get Marvel vs. DC. That is like the worst case scenario, and I don't want that to happen. I don't think anyone wants that to happen. So, yeah. So that's pretty much where we're at. I'm done rambling at this point. Marvel vs. DC, I feel like it should be the next game. I feel like that's the best decision that they should make. Ed Boon has been nonstop saying Marvel tweets. I gotta be honest, if it's just straight up Marvel, I'm not going to be super duper excited. I just don't like those characters the way I like DC characters. I just don't. Like Iron Man, like Captain Marvel, like they're cool, but like the only one I really like is like Spider-Man and Ant-Man, right? I'm not crazy about a lot of the other characters like Black Widow, Scarlet Witch. I mean, I think they're fine, but like I don't like love them, and I don't think they're hype really. So I don't know. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But I'm just personally, and more importantly, I'm not sure if the audience of Mortal Kombat games and Injustice games, like, how are they gonna react to a standalone Marvel game? Are they even gonna care? Is Netherrealm's main audience even gonna care? I honestly feel like most of them may not care that much. They might go, okay, I mean, this isn't like what we're here for, but like, okay. That's how I think it would go over. And I don't know. So I'm really hoping to God that this game is Marvel versus DC. Like, really. Because they have to realize that their audience is not here for we're Mortal Kombat and DC fans. We're like Marvel fans, like, kind of, I guess. Some of them, maybe half of them, but not like most of us or all of us, right? They have to take that into consideration. So at the very least, if they make a Marvel game, make like a lot of the DLC characters like DC characters or cool, or like some cool characters that Disney happens to own, like, you know, Darth Vader, you know, some Star Wars characters, you know, characters like that. Personally, this is just me, but I really want to see Davy Jones from Pirates of the Caribbean. I want to see that dude in a fighting game. That's just me personally. I want to see that dude in this game. If they make Marvel vs. DC, I want Davy Jones to be one of the DLC characters, okay? Call me cringe, whatever. He's one of the coolest Disney characters, okay? And yeah, whatever other characters Disney happens to own, I guess they could put in this game. Like, I don't know, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker. And yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry I'm not uploading as much as I used to. I still love you guys, and I hope you guys like my videos still. Anyway, thank you. Keep on fighting. I will see you in the next video. Have a fantastic day. Keep on fighting.